Well, actually, in Gibraltar, we've never really had much of a problem being accepted. In those days, there was loads of navy. You had loads of drag queens going up and down Main Street. Nobody blinked an eyelid. Obviously, there were no rights, and in fact, before that, people didn't even know it was illegal. It was just accepted, and that was the end of the matter. Until, and I'm going way back before that, to late 70s, there was a problem, and this guy got caught with a minor, and the police sort of arranged for him to give names, and he would get out of this problem. And he gave names right, left, and centre without even having been with them. So one of my friends was affected. In fact, he resigned from his job. There was nothing really. There was no evidence of anything. And I went to the UK to try and see if I could do something. Unfortunately, they said that it was an internal matter, nothing to do with the British government. And that's when I started. And then after that, nothing really. Until, I think it was 92, I can't remember very well, an article came out in the Pink paper, and to which I replied, because they more or less said that, gay people here were hunted like witches, which was totally untrue at the time. So I wrote back, and I went on holiday. When I came back, there was a few calls waiting for me. Mother thought I was in trouble. Was in actual fact it was television, and it was the radio wanting to do interviews with me. So I suppose in my own little way I was Gibraltar's first gay activist, and we had the debate. There was a priest, if I remember correctly. There was myself. I think Peter Wheatley came along, and a lawyer. I'm not sure who the lawyer was. So that was the first time anybody had come out in television and said, look, this is what I am. I don't give a damn what you think. I want my rights.
And from then on, looking at what happened in 1993, what was the sense of feeling, particularly from you and people you spoke to, about the possibility of there being change in the horizon?
Well, changes legally, because otherwise, really didn't change any, people's opinion or people's way of thinking. Not that I'm aware of. I'm not saying obviously there must have been some homophobes along the place, but not obviously as such. So, I mean, I remember when, I wrote to the Chief Minister. In fact, way before that, when that incident happened, I actually met with Joe Bassano, and he told me it was too hot to handle at the time. So when I started this campaign to legalize homosexuality, look how it turned out. He had to sign the paper as such. There was only one who abstained, a very good friend of mine actually, but due to his religious beliefs, he abstained. And I remember writing a letter to the Chronicle that said, let me assure you, Mr., that by legalizing homosexuality, nobody is making it compulsory. And that went down rather well. So anyway, I had some messages via, I think it was a press chap from the Chief Minister, to say, that this was going to happen. So it was going to be legalised at 21. So of course I said that why at 21 was the UK was actually going to change it to 18. And then, in fact, we were 18 before the UK was. From not being legal, we were 18 before that. So he sent me another message saying that was a good idea, because otherwise we'd have to go through all this all over again.
One thing that strikes me is that in almost every generation, from my perspective, there's been this sense of, well, that issue is taboo. I mean, even the then Chief Minister said that it was an issue that was too hot to handle. Have you found that that has changed over the years since 1993, that it no longer became something? You've said many times in this very interview there wasn't a problem that you could see, but did it become something that people talked more freely about after the fact?
Oh, yes. Yeah, after all those years being on my own, fighting for it, GGR was formed, and then, things started to happen. Obviously not with the Caruana government. Unfortunately, I find that people with religious beliefs don't leave them at home. One thing is being a civil leader, another one is a religious leader. Now, when GSLP came into power, before that, we'd had several meetings with them, and they, in their manifestos, they put down quite a lot of things, and they have delivered. So now I have seen guys walking hand in hand down Main Street, whereas before, I don't know what people's reaction would have been, but maybe not so lenient. And of course, you get people getting married, civil partnerships, and it's another two people getting married.
You've been at this for a long time, and you just said there about the Caruana government that there was maybe a roadblock there. What were those years like? I mean, what were you fighting for in particular during the years that they were in power?
We were fighting for equality. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. I mean, whatever you had, or whatever the non-gays had, why shouldn't the gays have it? They were paying taxes. They had the same civil rights as everybody else. So obviously now we do.
How did it make you feel? Obviously this is something that's very important to you. How does it make you feel, or how did it make you feel when you started to see small things happen? For example, there was that fight for co-ownership of a house for the longest time. Mm-hmm. There was then civil partnership, which this year is celebrating its 10th anniversary of, coming on board, gay marriage, that language, pride events now happening more regularly. For you, on a deeply emotional level, having lived what you've lived through, what does it mean to you?
A degree of satisfaction that what I had been fighting for, or what we had been fighting for, had finally turned up. That's more than anything else, and thinking, maybe I might not enjoy some of the benefits, but those that come after me will. So that was definitely satisfaction.
Whenever I talk to any of the groups, in particular at the moment the LGBTQ plus committee, I always ask them, we've had all of these things happen, a lot of them in the course of the last decade. Where are we now, and what else needs to happen? And I'm going to pose that to you as well. What else does Gibraltar need? What else does Gibraltar's LGBTQ plus community need?
Well, as far as legality is concerned, as far as I can see, we've achieved that. If there's any intolerance, that's what I suppose should be achieved. Complete normality. I've never come across intolerance in my case, but that doesn't mean to say it's not there. So just complete acceptance.
And throughout the changing times, we've seen attitudes change a lot, particularly in communities, small knit communities like Gibraltar. Have you had a chance to speak to the younger members of the community and gauge how they feel, and do they have a sense of everything that you've done, for example?
Actually, no, I haven't. To be quite honest, I haven't really come across them. No. So, but they I suppose that they've had it all handed on a plate, so now they can go and fight for other things.
What would you say to Gibraltar's LGBTQ community, the younger people, what would you say to them now about what they have and what people fought for?
First of all, I think people should believe in themselves, should not hide who they are, should definitely stand up for who they are, and appreciate what they have, and go for it. If they want to get married, go and get married. If they don't want to, if they want to adopt a kid, go and adopt a kid. So take advantage of what has been delivered to you.
And Are you concerned about, successive governments? Because this government has achieved a lot of changes, as you mentioned before, when they came in 2011. But how do you feel about the future? A lot of progress has been made. Are you worried that there will be any rollbacks? We've seen that happen internationally in some cases, particularly in America. There's certain states that are rolling back rights that have happened. The United Kingdom has had a lot of rights, has made a lot of progress over there, but there are some corners that would rather see it go back. How do you feel about that, about the future and possibility of everything that's been worked for being undone?
Well, I definitely hope not. I mean, a lot of these things, unfortunately, are thrown back by people with religious convictions. So I suggest to anybody who's going to become a minister to leave their religious convictions to home and rule or govern the country for, as a civil person, not a religious person. But I definitely hope we don't go back. We'll have to start fighting all over again, won't we?
And I just wanted to ask you, of course, Charlie's Hole in the Wall was infamous and famous in Gibraltar in equal measure. Tell me about those years of having that sort of... Because I remember watching the report we did of when it was closing down, and you said that it was a safe space for people. What were those years like, and who entered in there, and who did you meet, did you talk to in there?
Well, it was never a gay bar. It was gay-owned, but it was never a gay bar. Essentially, we had all the married couples from Rook, all the married couples from the battalions, all the visiting sailors, and there was nothing really strange about it. It's just like, I suppose, my sense of humour. I can sling shit faster than they can think it up, and let them do what they wanted. Let them enjoy themselves. So yes, it was a sad occasion, but unfortunately, due to the lack of navy, rent's gone up. I had to say goodbye. But it was the farewell weekend was absolutely amazing. I never expected that. The lads made me proud. So it was a good period of my time and, of my life, I should say.
We've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about, the legislation coming through in 1993, changes again in 2013. Now more pride events are happening. Is, in your opinion, the local gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender community in Gibraltar thriving for the first time in your lifetime? Would you say that?
Well, they're more obvious. I mean, they've come out publicly and are proud of who they are. From what I've seen, people are not worried about saying I'm gay anymore, or this is my boyfriend. Whereas before, you'd say something like, colega. But now, so yes, I think, people now are much more open, not hiding behind a woman's skirt like they used to, or joining a religious organisation. Yeah, I think it's been worthwhile, the fight.
And you're still ready to fight?
Sorry?
And you're still ready to fight if need be?
Well, why not? One's getting on, but the spirit is still there. Yeah. Oh, I definitely would fight if I had to.